What up? What up? What up? What is up, everyone? We're back for episode 6 of the Algorithm. I'm David Verjano here with JC Perez. We're the team, part of the team behind Cultura Creative. We do this bi-weekly stream to talk about what we talk about all the time, actually. Marketing news, brand moves, cool campaigns, things that hit up our feeds. But JC, what's your week been like? I know that we've had a lot of going on here, but yeah, let the crowd know what's going on.
Yeah, man. It's been a long week, a lot of meetings, but a lot of prepping for the holidays and for December. Luckily, we are also prepping for some new clients and kind of going over things with them. So it's been hectic. I'm out next week. We go to Disney every year for Thanksgiving. So this week has been a lot of prep. And a lot of kind of making sure that everything's ready to go when we get back, hitting the ground running for early December. So, but yeah, it's been that, and also just like diving into since I am traveling, my new kind of thing that I do before I travel is I go on X and I look up all the independent weather consultants that are adding their kind of spin on what the weather's going to be like wherever I'm going. So that's always fun too. And then like they fight against each other, and it's a whole ecosystem that they've built there on X with weather. So I feel like that's happening in every industry, honestly. Like marketing's the same thing, weather. So that's been my thing. So that's really what the week has been in Dunedin, Florida. Shout out to my city up here.
Yeah.
How about you, man? What's your week been like?
Well, literally earlier today we did a client presentation for our new client that came in. It's an event production company, and we brought them on board a couple weeks ago. So we went through the whole brand discovery workshop phase, asked them some questions, did some fun exercises to help us like figure out what kind of territories to take the brand. And then today we presented 3 of those territories, and it was well received. Usually when we do this, we get someone to like pick 1 or 2, and they like 2 of the 3. It's normal for them not to like all 3, and I kind of prefer they don't, because then it like gets tough to move forward. But yeah, yeah.
It's always easier. It's always easier when the client is aligned with your kind of what your focus is and where your choice is on the path for the brand. So they were today, and that was exciting.
Yeah, and I think it's a fun project. I'm excited about the directions that we're going to take it into. And then before that, last night I did another live stream, so it's like back to back for me. We did one on courtside creatives for the Miami Heat game. Fun, but not as fun as it could have been if the Warriors actually brought their entire team. It was kind of a letdown for fans to want to see Jimmy Butler, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and their starting lineup. Like it was all 5 of them essentially were out. So either way, at least the Heat walked away with a win, and it was still fun to see the team, at least string it together at the end. It was kind of tough in the early going, but yeah, that's kind of been like the main milestone points this week. And then obviously this today, we've been talking about it. We had to postpone it last week, but it kind of works out because now there won't be like an interruption next week with Thanksgiving and whatnot. So we'll actually kick it off here, kind of showing the rundown. But so today we're going to be going into a few different topics, starting off with PepsiCo, the parent company, doing a rebrand there, and our thoughts on that. A couple of sports campaigns, some that are individual players, as well as like brand deals that they're making or have been making with other big apparel brands, Nikes of the world, Under Armours and whatnot. And then we'll get into one that some people might consider a little controversial, but we're strictly going to focus on the brand and design and visual language of the Mamdani campaign. It's just always interesting to look at other sectors, even though we're not directly involved in politics or branding or campaigns there. Just are there any takeaways? Are there any things that are unique that you can learn from and apply to your industry? So we're always kind of agnostic when it comes to those kinds of things. Then we'll wrap it up with some home runs and strikeouts when it comes to these holiday ad campaigns. And then we have some open floor things, some suggestions and things that we got from people on the team, some people that follow us, and any questions you guys may have. Obviously, you can jump into the stream and let us know. So we'll kick it off here with the PepsiCo rebrand. So just for context here, PepsiCo owns a lot of different brands underneath it. It's the parent company, and this is strictly on the corporate side. So this is more of like their B2B
B2B.
face stuff. So like the average consumer won't see this, right? And yeah, they kind of wanted to separate themselves from just being like associated with Pepsi, the soda brand. So I understood the move here, and if you see kind of the breakdown, this is where it came from, and it obviously was very associated with the soda brand in these first iterations. Even in this last one, the typography and the way it looked, you still felt like it was part of PepsiCo. But this new direction definitely feels different. I will say that it's not exciting, but I don't think that corporate brands are at this scale is really supposed to be exciting.
I don't think they were going for exciting. Yeah,
they were not
It's
going
like,
for exciting. They were going for safe for sure.
yeah.
And like here, it's kind of like the things they tried integrating, like showing the food and the grain side with agriculture, showing the drinks and water side that they own in a bunch of brands. They tried doing the smile thing. Definitely took some inspiration from Amazon here with the little smile thing. And then this is with that corporate stuff that I don't even get, like PEP plus. I have no idea what that means. Positive impact in people and planet. Yeah,
Whatever.
corporate jargon.
Exactly.
Like for
That's talking to the investors right there, bro.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're talking about that. But so yeah, here this is all from their side. So like this is directly what they're positioning themselves and saying what it's supposed to be like. So it's supposed to be a house of brands, and it is. And this tagline, I mean, it's pretty cheesy, but hey, it kind of like covers the bases on what they want to get across. So again, very safe move. I get where they're coming from. I'm not going to say that it's a fail, because I do think they achieved what they wanted, which is to feel like it's a big separation from Pepsi, the brand as a soda, and show that it's like a more holistic, more all-encompassing, brand. And like just for the sense of scale, we found this graphic online, a little bit chaotic, but you can see all the brands that fall
It's
under this. Like
wild.
this is just beverages and food. Like it is a lot that covers this, right? Like there's a lot of both partially invested and fully invested in some of these. So yeah, you can understand, especially like even internationally, right? You can understand where this is coming from and why they would want to separate, because like if you just associate with Pepsi, the brand, you're like the soda brand, you're like, how do these things all make sense? So
Mhm.
I get where it's coming from. But JC, I don't know what your thoughts are here on
Yeah, well, first and foremost, scared shitless at that image there of all those brands under one roof, and everything that, or not everything, but a lot of what we eat and what we consume is handled by private equity firms and private and investors. That's a whole other topic on the status of our health in this country. But yeah, look, as far as like the brand and logo, whatever. I mean, it's just it's speaking to who they need to speak to, I guess, which is those investors and B2B. And just like the only kind of gripe that I have, and I think it's because I hold individuals like yourself and designers and artists like to like a very high standard, which obviously somebody was behind this, obviously a designer was behind this. Like I don't want to look at a logo and feel like I could do that on Canva. And that's exactly what I feel here. Is like I feel like I could have gone on here and put this together, and I'm not a designer, I'm not an artist. So I don't like that feeling. Like it just feels like it's whatever. And again, I get that it's supposed to kind of be boring and kind of be very corporate and kind of be hitting all these very specific kind of talking points and what they wanted to get across. But again, it just feels the best way I can explain it is whatever. That's what it feels like. So yes, it's not a strikeout because like you said, they're talking to exactly who they need to talk to, and they're communicating who they need to communicate to. But it just feels stale, and I don't understand why corporate and B2B needs to feel stale. Like there can be some life, there can be some imagination behind these things. So I guess in that frame of mind, it does feel like a strikeout. But again, they probably did what they needed to do on this, and it feels fine. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there are some elements that, so like they have a video that's on their website that kind of breaks down how it comes into play, and it's just like I think, I don't know if this is sharing now, but if you guys could see this tab,
To see
yeah.
it, but
So
it's not sharing. Yeah. No.
so so it shows here kind of like how the brand gets used, like typography and other stuff. Like I won't even play the music, but just so you can see it in motion, and it's like it's not terrible. At least there's more
Yeah.
color. At least it feels a little bit more lively. Um, but you could tell they, again, playing it safe. There's nothing like cutting edge about this. But it does feel like it's modernized, and seeing it in action gives it a little bit more life than just looking at the logo.
Yeah.
But I still feel like they're just playing it safe. Like
I
this
like
is
the categorization. I
yeah,
like that, and we were talking about that today with the event company. Is like the categorization of the services or the products that you offer, because they are a house of brands, not a branded house. They're a house of brands. So I like the categorization of this, and having the food and grain and having the drink and water. That's great, and I think that's definitely a win, because the other logos didn't have that. But like again, just the physical, like actual logo itself is just it's
it's whatever. Yeah.
basic. It's
Yeah.
basic.
At least
So
I like that they used
good
this
brand story.
bolder typography, and that it's like done in a way that you could see how it comes to life when they animate it and when they use it in this context. So um I think that it's a step up. It's like, if I'm going to say anything, is like a single or a double max.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a home run at all. It's not something that's but again, the average person isn't going to interface with this. We always just like covering it because like we work with brands that are both B2B and B2C, and these are just things that you have to take into consideration. It's not always about like what the masses find appealing or what a specific niche audience that's a consumer audience finds
Right.
appealing. Like in this case, it's business clients and stakeholders and whatnot. And I can guarantee you there was a certain amount of like design by committee here that the designers behind this were probably like, damn, I really wanted to do this, but the board came back and they all had their opinions on this. So
There's a bunch of old heads in a boardroom somewhere that thought this logo is a home run completely and
yeah,
loved
yeah,
it.
like, oh wow, that's
So
fresh. I mean, yeah, maybe 20 years ago,
yeah,
maybe 10 years ago.
exactly.
I don't know. So
But
yeah,
again, I just don't know. Like, and I guess that's a little bit of like something that grinds my gears. Like I don't understand why B2B has to be boring. I really don't. There's people behind B2B. Like it's yes, a business is a business, but there's people behind a business. So like you gotta excite them. You gotta get them kind of ramped up. So yeah, again, yeah, I'm with you. Like it's like a single or a double maybe.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I'm good with that.
And some of the comments coming in, we have it's a miss for me. We
Yeah,
also have Valeria saying the logo feels European. Kind of, I could see that.
yeah,
Yeah, it does feel a little bit European. But you saw that they have a lot of international brands, so I feel like they're
they
trying
do.
to be more, global or more, all encompassing. So that kind of makes sense. So
Yeah,
that's pretty
fair
much
enough.
my thoughts on
Fair
it. I
enough.
don't know if there's any other things you wanted to touch
Uh,
on here before you move on.
no. That's it. I'm just again, it's always kind of scary looking at all these brands and under one roof. But that's
Yeah,
that's the last thing I want to say about that.
for sure. Well, the next topic, we're getting into sports campaigns and brand deals. And this first one is actually a book that Stephen Curry released that's called Shot Ready. And this was a really cool campaign that we saw come to life in Los Angeles. They found a billboard that was placed perfectly where the moon kind of comes up and comes down. So this is just an awesome, like, tactical move, because they knew it's not even about this billboard. This might be a part of town where a lot of people don't even go by. It was really for this moment and for this shot. And that's kind of the way you have to think about some of these campaigns. It's like, it's not the billboard, right? It's the idea of like, how does the billboard have legs that now takes it to going viral online? And that's an interesting way to think about it. Like, hey, if it's whatever, a few $1,000 to get this, but then the amount of impressions and views you're going to get online for free as a result of this, then it's worth the investment. And again, it's a book, so it's not like something that's super exciting, but it is Stephen Curry. A lot of people follow him. He's obviously one of the greatest NBA players, and he, this is a cool way to bring it to life. I thought this was a really well done, concept here. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, really cool. Again, why I don't understand. Like, books, I guess, are can be traditionally quote unquote boring. Obviously not, but you know what I mean. As far as marketing is concerned and being able to kind of spread the word, but yeah, to be able to do this and yeah, it's Curry. It just makes sense. It's awesome. I love it, and I love the creativity behind it.
Yeah, I mean, also just kudos to the guys who went out and the team that went out to find this, right? Like, you have to go out there and be there at night and look like actually right there, and
Yeah.
then we would want to place it in a way where, because like if you had to place it off to the left so you have enough room to take, if not you'd have to like find a way to place. So it was like it was very intentional with the way it was designed and put together for this to actually line up perfectly. I always love seeing those kinds of things come to life.
Yeah, agreed.
And while we're on the topic, actually, one of the bigger news stories, speaking of Curry, was that Under Armour and Curry decided to part ways. And a lot of people felt it was kind of shocking to see that come to life. And yeah, he is a free agent now when it comes to a shoe deal. And the Curry brand will live on its own, and it's looking for a new suitor. But really, like, the news here that was big is that, the stock is down 54% from last year. And it's like trading under $3 at this point. I don't know what it is today, but it's pretty down in the dumps. And they kind of realized that they had to cut their losses because it just was becoming more and more expensive to have Curry be the face of Under Armour while the stock and really like the business is somewhat tanking. So it's a restructuring move, and it sucks for them to lose a name like Curry, but they're going to find a way to like divest and reinvest in other ways. And it just shows like the sheer power that some of these athletes are now garnering with these bigger apparel brands and these bigger companies that want to associate themselves. Obviously, that Nike is going to be out there pitching him. Reebok will probably try and come into the mix, but they might not have the money to do that. Yeah. Adidas might be in the mix. I think Adidas and Nike are probably the two big ones, not including the Chinese brands that are going to also like Li-Ning and some of those that have made bids for other athletes. So it's this whole other business model and whole world when it comes to sports and the athletes that they kind of run it, that we're seeing just the sheer power. But yeah, I don't know if you have any thought. I have a couple others here that.
Yeah, no, I do, and I think I was diving into this because I've long been a fan of Under Armour when they started out, and I think that as a brand they've lost their way in the last 5 to 10 years, big time. So I think this is more of a story about Under Armour than it is Steph Curry.
Correct.
Because they dropped the bag 100%. And I think the biggest reason why they did that was lack of focus. Under Armour, if the viewers don't know, Under Armour I would say like 5 to 7 years ago, give or take, they had a really big shift into fitness, but more like technology behind fitness, right? They went out and they bought or they invested in, I don't know if it was existing already. I think it was an existing app, but MyFitnessPal, they bought a bunch of like apps that were surrounded around and were assistants in the health field, in the fitness field, and were really like tech driven. And I think that plus losing focus on what their bread and butter was and losing focus on what was bringing them in the revenue that they were bringing in, I think assisted in dropping the bag here with Steph Curry. And they signed a kind of like a lifetime deal with Steph Curry. And I think it was 2022. It was like a lifetime style, Jordan-esque branded deal with Steph Curry. And what ended up happening was the company is having issues, and they just can't afford that. So they really dropped the bag here. So again, I think this is more of an Under Armour issue than it really is a Steph Curry issue. You know, he has continued to build his brand. I don't think it's necessarily been him. His brand sells. He sells on other areas. He's a great brand in his own. He's the face of the NBA still at his older age. I would still say he's in his prime, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. He's technically out of his prime. But yeah, this is all on Under Armour, man. You lost focus. You got out of basketball, and right now they're going to be in a really bad position. They're going to be where Converse was. They're going to be where Reebok was. Like, they're going to be in a tough position, especially in basketball, in sports, but especially in basketball. They still hold a lot in baseball. They're still a big brand in baseball, but in basketball, they're going to be. It's going to be tough. So
I remember, like, it was really iconic when they were getting into like high school football and football in general with the "We Must Protect This House" campaign.
Yeah,
and I feel like that was very like, oh snap, like there's a new player on the block, and it felt like they were really like a challenger brand that was making noise and had a focus and had a clear message. And like you said, I do feel that they lost that focus, and they definitely started chasing some things that didn't really hold enough water. And it's just tough to kind of like see a brand fall like that. But again, there's a lot of up and coming brands now that are just like chipping away at market share, and Nike's still a giant. But even Nike, I feel like all the big players are losing a little bit of luster. I think that they're like the cool factor, especially when it comes to like Gen Z and some of these younger generations. They don't see it the same way. Like, how is New Balance and Asics and some of these other brands like having a come up when you feel like, oh, but all these other brands have such much more modern and bold designs and stuff. It's like, nah. Yeah. It's like, if you found that cool, you're like in Unc mode now. Like, you're like an old head essentially. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy.
And you also, go ahead.
Yeah. Derek has a point here, because like it seems like they weren't able to add any other big players.
Correct.
It's true.
Correct.
Like, it was just Curry in the basketball. Like, they put all their eggs in that basket, and it seemed good. Like, I mean, I never ended up buying a pair of their shoes. I've heard some people had mixed reviews, but I think leaning towards positive, and then it started falling off. I don't know. I don't know what their idea was there, other than like, let's just get the whale and then figure it out as we go. But yeah, they definitely didn't leave room to attract other people.
He should have been your anchor. Like, he should have been your anchor to attract other basketball players, and he wasn't, and he did it. And again, this is not on Curry at all. This is 100% on Under Armour not supporting the whale that you got. And again, it's just a lack of focus. And then you see you were talking about other brands. Like, you see brands like Baseball 101 Baseball Lifestyle 101, like, just absolutely destroying the baseball game right now with the youth. And like, and you see the proof is in the pudding, the focus that they have on baseball, on the youth movement, on like the merch and the shirts and the shorts and the style. Like, you see that, and that 100% focus. Like, Under Armour just went in 15 different directions within 10 years, and they completely dropped the bag here. So yeah,
100%
strikeout.
Sucks for them. But speaking of brand moves, another one that just happened actually was Cade Cunningham, which is like the star player for the Detroit Pistons. He inked a 6-year deal with Nike. He was already with them, but this comes with like his own signature shoe, which I already had seen his logo before, and I just think it's really cool. Like, the two C's like this, it gives me very like 90s vibes. It gives me almost like Orlando Magic vibes. Even though he's not on the Magic, it just has like that playfulness, but it still feels iconic, and it's nice. It's well done. The star, the whole thing. I think it's like the simple. I can't wait to see like how they bring this to life. This is just the logo, but he's definitely he's more of like a cool, calm, collected player, so I don't know from a personality standpoint how they're going to lean into him. He's not Anthony Edwards. He's not like that outspoken guy. He's more of like, I'm going to show you on the court what's going to happen. And they're like on an 11 or 12 game winning streak right now. So the Pistons are definitely firing on all cylinders. Very very intended there. And it's nice to see someone, especially in a relatively smaller market, really put his team and his name on the map. And yeah, that shoe is set to drop in 2026. So these kind of deals, I don't know what they probably haven't disclosed the full amount, but I'm sure it's a big deal. Nike doesn't play around. So this is going to be the sixth Nike NBA player to have a Nike deal actively. So they're kind of like building their roster there, unlike Under Armour having only one and now losing him. And yeah, the other big name that you would know, even though it's WNBA, is Caitlin Clark. And I thought this was an interesting kind of different look for especially a sports logo. It feels
looks luxury.
It almost looks luxury. It almost feels like it's higher end. But I think it's cool. It's a differentiator. I think it always should feel like it ties a little bit to the individual himself, but then have that Nike feel to it. It's Nike being the house of brands and these brands falling underneath them. Even the Curry one, like what's good is that those brands get to float and like live on their own. They don't like now leaving Under Armour. I've already seen mock-ups of what it could look like associated with Nike, associated with Adidas, and it could work either way. That's what a good brand does when it comes to like these people that they're appealing to a broader audience. So yeah, I think Nike, specifically in the basketball end, they're still king, and they're still dominating that, especially from an endorsement standpoint. But I've had some conversations with just from macro level, like Nike as a brand and all the other verticals they have. Like I think they're losing a little bit of that cool fashion factor amongst younger audiences. I don't think that they're as stylish or as like in style as what you would expect them to be anymore. So
I don't know on that end, but I can say that I really do like this logo. I think it's not copy and paste with athletes, right? You got to take into consideration, like, yes, of course, your demographic. They're all going to be people that watch sports, but every demographic is a little bit different. And I like the taking on the personality of the athlete and kind of building it around there and world building around there. And if you've seen how she comes dressed before the games and all of that type of stuff. Like she has good fashion, she has good style. She dresses a little bit like higher end. So I like that. I like that it's taking that personality of the athlete, which is what it should be. On that end, I like that, and I like the way that they're going. But all of these big brands, man, they got to be careful. There's a lot of these newer brands. Again, I keep on saying it just because it's so close to us as far as baseball fans, but like baseball lifestyle 101, like the job they've done, and I know that in every other industry, and every other sport, there's a brand like this that's on the come up, and the way that they've been able to have a movement and create such a cult following is wild. And again, these big brands need to be careful, man, because these guys are taking their cake, they're running with it. And they need to continue to do a better job. I think like these bigger brands get fat and lazy at times, and they try to kind of just copy and paste and do the same thing that they've done for years and years. And again, it opens up a market for brands like this to come in, make a splash, and create a cultural movement from the grassroots. So brands need to be careful. And I am not surprised at all that Nike is losing a little bit of traction, that all these brands are losing a little bit of traction, because we live in a day and age of D2C, direct to consumer, and these smaller brands can come in and through socials, organic, and then having a simple Shopify site that they can sell anything to anywhere, you can make a big impact within a very short time frame. So I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, there was nothing like that was very different from that website we just shared from Baseball Lifestyle 101. But you could tell in the design and style, like they baseball focused 100%, and
100%.
B, kids. Like they're just straight up kids baseball. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's not many adults buying that. And
No.
you saw the price points, like some of those shorts are $50. It's like sucks as a parent because the kid doesn't have the money to buy it, but they're gonna be nagging you to buy those pair of
Mm-hmm.
shorts. My closest cousin, he has two sons, and they both play baseball, and they both want, and they've asked for some of their gear. So it is definitely permeating into that, and it's finding a niche and doubling down on it. And then if the time comes, you evolve and grow out of it. But it's better to kind of like find that shift, that specific like niche that you're gonna hone in on, and really like own it. So
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
try and be like everywhere all at once.
Yeah. And listen. I Nike, whoever, don't think that you can't be the next Under Armour and lose market share. Like it can happen to any of these big dogs.
Yeah.
So
The only thing that they get to control is like they have those deals they make with teams where they lock them in. Like they have
the Jordan deals and stuff.
Yeah, they do those deals where they kind of like are no, like even just with specific teams in certain leagues, where like, oh, we're making the jerseys, or we're making, or you get the shoes and you can't wear any other shoes. So they lock in those deals, similar to what Pepsi does with beverage deals at certain venues and places, right? Like, oh, this is a Pepsi or this is a Coca-Cola, venue, and literally like all the products that are beverages are from one of those brands and those branches that they have. So that's the only thing they do. They own so many other things that they're able to like control and lock in bigger deals that at least it's more like a cruise ship that's steering slow, but it's out there and it has enough gas that it knows it's going to make it a few more years. But yeah, they got to start shifting and steering that in a different direction, or else like they will end up in a tough spot, 5 years from now.
All right, you just said something, and I think the audience wants to know: are you a Coke guy or are you a Pepsi guy?
I think I'm a Coca-Cola guy. I think I'm more Coca-Cola.
I'm a Pepsi guy. I love Pepsi. Yeah, big time.
I don't know why.
Outside of the Coke Zero, which is fantastic. I really like that. But yeah, I'm a Pepsi dude.
I mean, I'm really neither, in the sense like I don't really drink too much soda. I probably just use soda as mixers if I'm drinking like a gin and tonic or something. But then I'll go with like Canada Dry or Schweppes or something, like some of those, Sprite, if I'm mixing something like that. But those are like the only times I really drink soda for the most part. Yeah. So I guess their water brands are the ones that are even more popular than you think of, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy the amount of brands that they have under that portfolio.
Agreed.
Yeah. Shifting gears here now to a more controversial topic, but we felt it was necessary to at least just go into specifically branding and not even talking about the politician or his politics. I mean, we'll be transparent here, and I won't speak for JC. He'll speak for himself, but his policies aren't necessarily things that I agree with. But again, this is a local campaign. This is someone that ran in New York City, which is its own mini world essentially. And the key thing that I wanted to point out here was when you are doing any kind of brand identity, politics or not, like if you're doing it in a localized fashion in a city, in a certain neighborhood, like really honing in on the culture and the identity of that place is a win. It's smart to do that. And you could see it how they reflected that across design. And that's what we're focusing on here. The visual assets that you see that were put out, it has a very unique style. This is not what you're used to seeing in political campaigns, right? Like it's usually it's red, white, and blue, standard, straightforward. There's not a lot of like ornamentalism. There's not a lot of these other things that add any kind of personality to a campaign. And I felt like that's one thing that they at least deserve credit for, is taking inspiration from things like a bodega storefront, a deli, the metro station, the little things that you see around New York City. So JC, we'll go through some of these examples, but what did you want to point out here?
Yeah, same. And I feel the same way. We're going to dive into this strictly on the aesthetics, the branding, the marketing of this, because I thought it was brilliant. But yeah, his policies and whatnot, I don't identify with. But I think that one of the things that as a business that we can do is kind of separate ourselves from that, and as we do regularly, and we're able to talk about these things for what they are. And this was a campaign. It was a very well run campaign in my estimation. And really, one of the things that stood out to me on the entire campaign was the ease, like the easiness of how it was, how easy it was to understand. It was straight to the point. The language was very simple. It was human. It was fast. It was again straight to the point. There was no fluff. There was no BS, and no, it lacked that that traditional like political corniness is the best way to say it, right? Even the colors, like it kind of shied away from like that traditional red, white, and blue. Probably, it was definitely on purpose, I'm sure. But it was very intentional. The entire thing, there was very clear communication that to me, like, not only clear communication, but clear communication, having a clear understanding at where the distribution of this communication was going to be, right? Which I think is also something that's not taken into consideration a lot. Like if you look at like the Trump campaign, right? The distribution was great, but I feel like there was things that were missing on the branding and on like kind of the onset of that. Whereas this, to me, on a strictly, again, branding and marketing level, like everywhere from communication, the simplicity in the communication, and then understanding where that distribution was going to be and understanding where they needed to distribute this information was just absolutely on par. Like it was incredible. So to me, it was very well done on a strictly campaign focused, and you see it. Look at the posters. Very, very simple. Childcare for all. Like, obviously a lot of nuance there, but they didn't care. Like it was just like straight to the point. Childcare for all, workers for over billionaires. Like again, just very simple communication that I think absolutely took this to the next level. And then
it's not just that, it's also, it's like artistically done in a way that just stands out. Because like anyone could say these things. It just is rarely presented this way in a political campaign. Maybe in a PAC, maybe in like some other like movement, but like from a politician and from a campaign like this, it just feels like there's more personality done. And that's what I feel like hopefully across the board on any political affiliation, we see more of this, like especially on a local campaign where like you're in a certain state or city, like you can hone in on the nuances of that neighborhood, of that place, and you're able to do that. Like I think this was probably the thing that stood out the most, like knowing that New York has different boroughs and making one that reflects each one for Brooklyn, one for Staten Island, one for Manhattan, Bronx, and the Queens. Like that, it only works in New York. Like you would have to do this very differently in Miami. You would have to do this very differently in Los Angeles and in other cities and states. So that's what shows like, oh no, this is not just something you can copy paste. It was like, no, this was done contextually and it only makes sense in this city. So that's what I like about it. Like the lack of scale, honestly, is like it was done well for this campaign and for this city. And again, setting aside any political policies and affiliations and what people feel, like just visually from this, like this is something that stands out. And I think that whenever you do any kind of branding, that should be part of the equation. Like, all right, what do you usually see? And it's very, what it is. Like, I don't even have to pull it up. You know what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of white, blues, reds, and bold, typefaces that are straightforward, not even a lot of serif typefaces or anything with like script or anything like this. Nothing that's stylized with a backdrop or, a shadow or anything. It's just flat, straightforward, boom. Like, and it's like, I get that. It's not like these things are what win the campaign, but they help communicate that person's beliefs, their values, all that stuff. So why not make that thing speak in a much more memorable and a way that stands out. So that really was all my take from this. It's nice to see at least some personality being shown out there, and that hopefully more politicians, more brands in general learn from something like this, so that they can see that, hey, personality actually wins and gets people's attention.
Yeah, no, agreed. And one of the things too is like the way that it involved the local creators, the way that it involved people. It kind of like was teed up for local creators to remix a lot of the creatives into their own boroughs and into their own personality. And we always say it, like building a brand is building a community. And I think that they did kind of both here. They understood who they were talking to, and love him or hate him, like he did a great job on that. And he knew exactly who he was talking to. He knew who his demographic is in every borough. He knew how to speak to them. He knew how to speak to the diaspora communities in each of those boroughs, and he really got it. So like, again, on a branding and a marketing scale and level, it was incredibly well done. And that branding team and whoever was behind this on the creative strategy did a great job.
Yep. And our next topic here is actually getting into holiday ads. We're in the holiday season, and got a couple brands here. One being Amazon, the other one being Coca-Cola.
Doctor Strange, baby.
Yeah, and you have this campaign by Amazon featuring Benedict Cumberbatch, and we'll play a couple of them. They're pretty quick, but
real Amazon customer reviews performed by a real serious actor.
I live with my family of 8, including very young children. Guess what happens when everybody comes down with a stomach flu after a potluck? Well, I'll spare you the details. There was blueberry pie at that potluck. My white couch was now bright purple and smelled like something had died in a cheese factory. But lo and behold, this little machine did the job. My couch is white again. 5 stars.
Anonymous.
That's perfect. It's perfect.
So it's awesome. Just so simple to do. Like, there's not really too much production value outside of the set and getting obviously the actor, but it's reading a review and then promoting a product as a result. And they did the same thing with another one of those, a pillow. But I think those things are what show that now, like, there's more than these two, right? Like, it's so scalable for this one. Like, this one makes sense because it has legs. Like, your Amazon, you sell across the entire country, across the world, really, in most of the parts. So you're trying to show that how do I humanize something, but then like elevate it with something cinematic like an actor, and really, give it new life. Like, reading it that way makes it all the difference.
And real quick, I continue to say this, and I think the influencer community has done this really well for a long time. Get into your comments. Like, this is the perfect example. Obviously, Amazon on a whole different scale, but get into your comments. Like, the reviews and the comments, good or bad. Like, if you're a brand that like really doesn't take itself seriously, promote the bad ones, promote the good ones. Like, make things around that, make content around that. And like, this is the perfect example of that. Again, on a whole different level, you were able to get this star to deliver it in a way that like only he can. Just fantastic. But brands, please get into your comments. Please like talk to the people that are in your comments. Like, the first thing Mari shows me anything now, and the first thing that she says is like, go into the comments, read the comments, like read the first comments, because it's like that's where all the action is at. So please, like, brands, do something with your comments, make content, talk, like jump in there and interact, but please do something with your comments, because they're like all these reviews and comments, etc. Like, they're just content that people are laying up for you. They're teeing it up for you. So this is very well done.
Yeah. We'll play one more and then we'll switch to Coca-Cola.
The boyfriend pillow is just incredible.
Yeah. Real Amazon customer reviews performed by a real serious actor.
I love my boyfriend pillow. It's like having your real boyfriend in bed with you, minus the annoying snoring and constant farts. when I put the arm around me. It's a comforting feeling. 5 stars, Miranda K.
Bro.
So good.
And the delivery is just perfect.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes him so special. But that's
Also,
it's a brilliant campaign.
Wild that we have boyfriend pillows, but that's
That's
neither here nor there.
But yeah, so that again, I would call this a home run because it was relatively low pool. So like, yeah, they got the connection to get the actor. They could have also gotten like a no-name actor. It might have not hit as well, but like if someone knows how to deliver speech-wise something well, it could have gotten close to that. So it just shows that just the concept itself works alone, and then it takes it to another level with an actor. So I thought that they did a great job, and you could see how this works across so many different products, and just to like drop in a nugget of like this one product, but it like makes you think about Amazon, and it makes you then go to it like, damn, actually I do got to buy a gift. Why don't I check out Amazon? And so I think it's a home run from that standpoint. And then this other concept here is Coca-Cola. They're known for their holiday ads, and the polar bears, the trucks, the lights, all this stuff. This one, we won't say what some people are kind of having a gripe over, but we'll let you watch it for a little bit, and then we'll talk about it. Really no voiceover on this one, so it's just really the song going on. All the animals.
Look around, something's coming to town. Something magic in the night. Can you see it shining bright? Always Coca-Cola. Holidays are fresh, it's wine we free. 'Tis the season, it's always a real day. Holidays are coming, 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 holidays are coming.
So the tagline being real magic, and just showing like, the trucks delivering it in a winter, wonderland, essentially going into the towns and all the animals coming out, kind of like bringing that to life. I don't know anyone who's in the comments or tuning in now, how many people realized that was pretty much 100% made with AI? Because I think, I mean, obviously I know, I looked this up. I'm much more in tune with what AI looks like and the nuances of some of that stuff. And I'm curious because there's always like this split. Like there's like the designer, the creative that points these things out and gets raged into talking about it, to the point where you can go down here and someone made this chart.
It's wild that somebody had the time to make that.
That all the different trucks and the different scenes are different. They're like, oh, this one has 3 wheels here and one in the front, whereas this, and they're all different sizes and all these things. It's like those details to the naked eye, I don't think people notice them.
A normal person that has nothing to do on a day-to-day basis with creative and design, and they're not going to notice that. They're not going to notice that, and that's the majority of people. They're not going to notice that.
I mean, I do think that there's moments where you can tell some of the fuzziness or smoothness of certain elements, like the fact that it was still intentionally supposed to be a little bit CGI, because like those animals aren't there, and it makes no sense. So they didn't make it ultra realistic. Like they kind of went into this imaginary world. So it kind of leaves room for, I get that. And I think my gripe with these people that are going up in arms with it is like, I get it. You expect more from Coca-Cola, right? Like they have the funds to do it. But the reality is like they've always been doing things that are computer generated. It's called CGI. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't an actual polar bear ever. There wasn't an actual Santa ever. It was all just done by someone who did that. Now, the argument is, I guess, a craftsman versus like a auto-generated computer prompted thing. And you see the difference. That's fine. Like if you are someone that's a connoisseur and they're going to be very focused on these things, yes, you can tell the difference if you are honing in on those minor things, but the average person seeing this coming up as like an ad that's in between a video on YouTube or just on TV passively, like I don't think they're going to focus on that stuff. And they've built up this backlog of association with these animals in this kind of world that for the most part, people are going to tune out. They're like, oh yeah, they're doing another winter, holiday theme thing. So it's funny just seeing kind of like this battle that happens now from the creatives versus the people who are like pro AI or don't care about it. And I think sadly, as a creative, I think we're in the minority. Like we're not, just because 10 to 20% of us are mad about this doesn't mean that the other 80% are indifferent or don't care. So that's just funny seeing that the state of where things are. I will say that, like, if I had to say home run or strikeout or whatever, like, I don't think this is a home run from Coca-Cola in this specific ad. I think they tried fitting in a lot of stuff. They didn't really like and from what I heard, it actually took so much prompting to even get it to this point. And I know that it's not easy to even get it to all work together. So I think that they tried too hard, honestly, even though this AI is supposed to be something that you don't have to try as hard. So that to me is what was off-putting. That was like
ironic.
Yeah, like it wasn't that great of an execution or a concept, essentially, because it felt a little bit too evergreen. It felt too like forgettable in a sense. Like it feels like more of the same. And it's like that to me is what it's like, whatever. Like I'm not too mad about the AI as much as I am about like it's not that memorable, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my exact point. Is like I don't really give a shit. I understand, like I understand we have a creative agency, and like there is going to be always a passion at our core for art and for design. So we always have to respect that. But at the end of the day, like, what are you trying to get across as a brand? It's emotion, and you're trying to move people, and you're trying to create that that effect when they're watching it. And that's, to me, is where they struck out here. And I agree with you. I felt it was clustered. I felt it was fast. It was like the cuts were very quick.
How many animals do you see in there?
I really couldn't get a grasp of each scene and get an emotion for each scene. And that is right now like the downfall of AI when you're creating movies like this, is that like it has to cut really quickly because it doesn't have that time frame that you can kind of like put together a 5-minute commercial that's seamless. So to me, that's where they struck out. It wasn't necessarily like the putting together through AI. It was like the fact that it wasn't good storytelling, like at all. It fell flat.
I felt like they leaned on the multiple animals because of what you said, that it's tough to like do something consistent for so many scenes, that like in reality they should have just doubled down on the polar bear. Like you should have just been the polar bear and the people, and like make it simple. But
but you're gonna end up with 15 different polar bears.
They're all
at the end of it,
different sizes and shapes and all that stuff.
I guess that's kind of the point. But whatever. It just fell flat. There was no emotion at all.
But yeah, I guess the criticism is like when you have a brand that can afford to do it the right way, that they choose to do this instead. And I guess that's an argument. But again, if you're an upstart brand and you're trying to do something to get a point across and you do a decent job of it, like I wouldn't be as critical as I would be of a bigger brand that is known for doing like legit CGI, like cinematic level CGI, and then they resort to this just to cut costs. And it's fine. I mean, again, I'm not mad at them for it. I just think that it fell short.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%.
So, and the one takeaway I had, and I heard someone else phrase it differently, but it's kind of like as access to these tools becomes more accessible, it becomes a lower barrier to entry. Kind of like the bar or the standard will rise in terms of what you expect, because if anyone could do it, like you said with the logo, like if I can get on Canva and do it, then the standard's a little higher now, because it's like if anyone could do it, then why are you charging a premium for it, or why would I care so much for you designing this if I feel like I could do it myself? If there's not thought. So like that's where the human element will always outshine just the AI. Is like what is the human insight? What is the intentional human insight that goes into it that like makes it relatable, makes it stand out, doesn't feel like a soulless thing, something generic that can be just replicated and done by anyone. Like that's what matters. And so AI makes imagination much more available to come to life and make like I love the idea that there are kids right now that they have an idea for a script in their mind and they actually can visualize it with stills, with a storyboard, with actual animating some of them into scenes, and then go to be like, hey, look, I'm doing this class project, and like that's fucking awesome. Like you're able to do that, and you've never been able to do that before. It was always like, oh, I guess I got to get my friend to shoot something, or you know what I mean? I'm not saying that it needs to be the final, but at least it's a visualization tool and to show like, hey, we have this idea, like this is kind of like how we want to string it together. It helps people who have a true creative direction and that mentality bring things to life in ways like never before. And then you have a craftsman who is able to blend the worlds of like, I know how to do CGI and animation and VFX, but I also can use AI to like do some elements of it. It's like an Iron Man suit for you at this point. So
agreed.
This is why, like, I guess this is getting the level of hatred by some people, is because it's like, yo, you could have literally blended the two. You could have done some AI and some a master of like just VFX and make it come to life. And most people wouldn't have noticed, but yeah, that's kind of my take on it right now.
Fair. Yeah. Strike out on the storytelling. That's where I'm going to end.
Strike out on storytelling. And then we're now on the open floor. Also, if anyone's in the comments, you can drop any questions or, you know, anything you want us to touch base on. But this one comes in from our own team member, Robbie Ramos. Caught wind of this this little series. I won't show the whole thing. I think it's like, I don't know, 16 minutes or something, but we can show the first minute, and it's kind of like this Zoom call where like they're having a meeting with Timothy Chalamet and other members of the team making this film, A24 film, Marty Supreme. And it kind of hones in on this moment, especially like COVID era, of like being on these big Zoom calls and just like having a field, especially when someone has a stage and comes up with these ideas, like just this moment. So we'll play like a minute of it and then we'll stop.
Good.
I'm going to stop it there. He goes on and he like shows some of his marketing ideas, and it's like the most he goes off to a point where he's like, yeah, I had like my guy who's a creative director like come up with this idea, and he worked like 6 months on it, and like he opens up the file and it's just like a block of orange. It's like not even anything. It's just obviously just leaning into like the eccentric actor kind of like persona, and just like, you know, how they come in and they think that they know what's better, like they have these ideas even though there's an entire team behind it. I think it was just really relatable, especially from there's the other end of it, like you sit there and you have to like introduce every person. It sounds so boring, their titles sound absurd, like to the average person you're like, what does that even mean? Like what, the Midwest territory salesperson, like whatnot, like all that stuff. And it just I think that that's what was interesting about it. This went viral because people thought it was real for a bit. Like it was like, oh, what is this, a real thing, or like is this a joke? And it was obviously done on purpose. Even like the name of the actual title of the video that came out, it had like something .mp4. It was like some weird like file that just got, you know, stored away in your folders and stuff. But yeah, this is a movie that, you know, Timothy Chalamet is coming out with, and it like we talked about films and marketing in the entertainment world last time. I think it's fun to do something a little bit different, do something feels lo-fi but garners a lot of attention. And yeah, I think that, you know, you start seeing other little examples. I guess that there was like a showing at A24, and the orange thing. It was talking about Wheaties in there, and like just showing the box with it. And it's I think he makes reference at the end of like the trailer. He's like, you're gonna see me on every box of Wheaties and stuff. So it's cool seeing like activating moments in a movie and using that as marketing material. Just little nuggets that get people to be like, what is that? And like maybe I get it once I watch the movie. So I think these are good ways, like even if you extract it outside of the movie world, like again, world building and being able to find a moment where you're like, hey, from this world, we extracted this one moment or this one phrase from it, and now we're like taking it and extracting it and like bringing it into your reality and something that you can kind of like, it's almost like the opening the door for you to be able to step into it if you want. But it's cool to see it happen and how they. So I'm always a big fan of like non-traditional methods in marketing and finding ways to almost like a guerrilla style campaign to, especially on the digital front. So I think that it's an interesting thing. I know that Roby had a lot of he keeps saying Schwepp in every meeting now, so we can blame Timothy Chalamet for that. But
I love actors like this flexing their muscles outside of the screen and kind of using it for the promotion of the films, etc. You see like some of this like with characters like Johnny Depp did this with the character Pirates of the Caribbean,
Jack Sparrow.
Sparrow. Yeah, he did that. He would go visit kids at the hospital and whatnot. So he would kind of world build there. They did the same thing with Marvel. I know that Iron Man did it as well. Johnny Depp, Robert Downey Jr. did it as well. So there's a little bit of that, but like now, especially with the social media age and how these things can go viral, this was brilliant. I love this. And like you said, it was the world building. It's the layers outside of the movie, and how do you create this, this world? Stranger Things has done a great job since the inception of Stranger Things of doing that. They're like the gold standard of that world building. But yeah, this was really cool. I love the Wheaties. If you guys watch the entire video, he dives into Wheaties box. He does a whole bit on the Wheaties box, and it's fantastic. But yeah, and I think there's a lot of actors currently that are doing something similar to this. Like Kevin James is doing that with his Matt Taylor character on TikTok that he plays an art teacher. And
I thought it was real. I was like, damn, that guy really looks like him.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
people are like, is this Kevin James? And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking Kevin James. It's of course
it looks just like him.
It just looks like him. But I guess he's promoting something, and if he's not, he's building a world that maybe he can build a movie, or a character in a movie. Like either way, it goes either way. So it's brilliant, and I think that actors need to flex this muscle more. And I really like. I loved this skit. I had seen these kind of Zoom skits before. They've done a couple of them where like a guy shows up and he's drunk or whatever, and and drinking on the job, and or a guy shows up and he was already fired and he showed up on the Zoom. I think it was a marketing company that started these type of skits, but this was brilliantly done. The execution was great.
I think it was Chubby's. And they got that guy who goes around with like the short shorts and he stuffs his pants so it looks like he has a huge butt. And he would do the thing where he's like joins a Zoom call. This was, I think, during COVID, but he's like out in the world and he's like has a green screen attached to his back while he's skiing or he's like doing something else. So it looks like the green screen. He just puts like an office background, but he's like out in the world doing some crazy stuff. Like he's definitely one of those like viral stunt marketing guys that you see every so often that it's so well done. And he's not even like a known actor. He's just like an influencer, like a creator that came out of nowhere to do it. So yeah, man.
Yeah, but kudos, man. Kudos to these guys.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Another thing that literally just came out, I think it was today, but Google's Gemini AI model has been upgraded. I think it's at version 3.0 now. And with that, they also upgraded the Nano Banana image generator that has been getting a lot of people to pay attention because all these visuals I'm showing you right now are done with Nano Banana and they're prompted with a ton of text. And that was one of the biggest things that you would run into issues with when it came to anything like AI. The second you would put text, it would distort things, or a letter would be off, or it would just write something different. And now it's getting really in tune where look how realistic this is.
Jesus.
So this is them talking about the Pro, Gemini Pro, and it's look at the amount of text that's on there, how legit, how well it reads. There's nothing that you could visually see and be like, oh, that's fake. This
my God
looks like a real photo. Even this one, this is a whole damn poster that was just made by prompting. And I love how they're just showing different placements and different use cases for it, and the amount of text that they're stuffing in here. It's like we don't have a precise answer yet, but we have been testing things out. Seems like it handled all 66 of these words. So far, so good, it seems.
Jeez.
Like, look at this. To be able to write out kind of weird words like kumquat and gobbledygook and scurvy, that's something pirates used to get because they don't get enough vitamin C. Of course.
That's hilarious.
Like, it's crazy. So the fact that all these things look real, even this sweater, like, look at this. Look at this entire, it's like you read that right in a pirate accent, didn't you? Well done. This is good scripting too. Like, copywriting was well done just for this, but visually bringing it to life and showing just like completely different moments, and just like this definitely is like, damn, I guess I better try it out if I want to like get some sort of text on something, and just get it across. Like, this is crazy. Like an entire comic book style monologue that's put out there.
Jeez.
Like, look at this. How about a ragu recipe written in spaghetti noodles? Like, incredible. This old 90s vintage look of a screen with all this stuff. Definitely like that whole web 1.0. Like, this is AIM pre-MySpace era design. So, and then again, the call to action at the end, gemini.google.com.
Fantastic. Well done.
Crazy. Even this little touch right here. The seal with a banana on it. But yeah, this I think literally came out today. It came up in one of my groups, and wanted to share it just because like we're always all these things rapidly change. So it's a matter of like being in tune with it. Last time we spoke about the browser wars, right? Like Google Chrome having to deal with Perplexity, and with ChatGPT launching their own browsers. Seems like this is the answer of like they upgraded Gemini. You open up Chrome now and there's like a little Gemini tab at the top right. You're seeing it being more integrated. And then now the visual image generator side of it, like they're upgrading that to compete with some of the other tools in the world. So it's an arms race right now. It's kind of crazy to see where it's at.
I think kind of last point there is, and we were talking about it before the show, is, you know, managers, business owners, etc., need to do a really good job of also keeping the damn thing, and like not getting too crazy into trying to have all the new latest gadgets of AI and what is prompting this, or you know what technology came out today or whatever the case may be. Like, yes, you always want to be innovative and on top of the innovation, but you know, your workflow matters, and the whole concept of all of this is to make your work quicker, faster, and give you more time to make more work and make more money and be able to do more things for your clients and for your team. So I think, like, you know, we're talking about that's top of mind for me every single day. I'm personally going through, and we've talked about this, like a back and forth on what web browser I want to move forward with, because like when I move forward with that thing, I'm going to get 100% ingrained. And like, you know, Google right now, Chrome, and everything that we do as a business, because we have the business suite, is ingrained with Google. So it's just very seamless, just like Apple on, you know, the tech side, the phone side, etc. Like, nobody can take me away from Apple. I don't care if you show me, like you were saying, the best camera, or that this has a better AI, or whatever the case may be. Like, it just makes my life easier to have Apple products because everything is so seamless. And I think the same thing with AI is like, you know, Perplexity is doing a really good job of that, kind of like building out that world like Google has, where like every touch point has Perplexity kind of built in. And I'm going to dive into the web browser on that end because I've heard really good things. So I think just kind of last point is like we get a little crazy on what the latest updates are on all of these things. And I know as a designer, it is a little bit different because you're always trying to look for like that latest tool that's going to make your process a little bit easier and better and help you kind of put things out quicker. But on my end, it's all about workflow as well. As like, how can I get moving on things? How can I get a quote out quicker? How can I get the, you know, all of these things out faster and quicker and more organized? And a lot of the times, like, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the latest update on something. It's just a matter of having something that is very streamlined and very easy to use. So that's something that is very top of mind for me, because as much as I want to be innovative on all the tech that we have as a business and everything that we're doing, it's also about workflow and making things easier for our team to just work on a day-to-day basis. So that's my last thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about tools, and it's about how comfortable you feel using that tool and how it helps you achieve whatever task or whatever goal you have at the end of it. And for me, I'm always curious to see what's out there. I don't necessarily dive head first into all of them, but I keep things on my radar, and then sometimes I'll set aside time to dive into them and experiment with them. I think experimenting is huge. It's good to
Agreed.
see. Like, there's a lot of times where I'd hear about something and I try it and be like, yeah, it's not there yet. Like, they showed you the best examples that they had, and it, like, when you actually mess with it, it wasn't there yet. So sometimes it is just hype, and it is just like throwing it out there. Like, this seems like these are some really good examples. We still got to try it out. You still got to see how you prompt it and use it effectively. So it's finding the right mix of tools for you, and not just using everything all at once and jumping from this lily pad to the next. Like, there is a little bit of like, hey, yeah, I know there's like maybe a better model or something that's more cutting edge, but I feel really comfortable with this one right now. It's still good enough, and I can make do with what I want with it. I think from a creative standpoint, to me, it's like, find the things that I either struggle with or don't enjoy as much, and see if there's ways that AI can help me get some of those parts further closer to the goalpost, and then I can take it into the finish line with my touch and with what I can do to polish it all together. So, and I love designing. I don't want something else to just design for me, but I do, hey, maybe the research phase, or maybe like bouncing ideas, or helping me reframe some things and explore things early on, that then I'm like, all right, actually now I'm going to go head first and do what I got to do. So I think this is just something that it's good to keep on the radar, experiment with it, and see if it's worth using for you. And if not, obviously you can always go back to how you currently do things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I jumped on the ChatGPT web browser, and it just was no bueno. So I jumped back, and I'm still using Chrome. So
I mean, I mostly use Chrome, and then I've been using Perplexity a little bit more, the Comet browser. But to wrap things up here, we have the last note that we found out about. I don't know how important this is or not. It just shows like more of like how big TikTok is getting, and how like someone like iHeartMedia is stepping in, and they're doing this partnership to launch 25 new podcasts hosted by TikTok creators. And they're doing it like co-branded studios in LA, New York, and Atlanta. And it'll be obviously on all the iHeart podcast, iHeart Radio app, and then all the major ones like Spotify, Apple, and whatnot. So it's just showing that I think this is more of a move of like iHeartMedia trying to like maintain relevance and latching on to TikTok, knowing that that's like a big thing, and just finding ways to, because media is so fickle and so ever changing, that they're like, hey, we know TikTok and the creators on there, like, they got a lot of attention on them. Like, how do we take advantage of that? So, I don't know how much this is going to impact the landscape, but I do think that it's important to watch, because it does give it's more important, I think, for the TikTok creators to gain legitimacy with a new audience. But like, they already got their audience on TikTok. That's why they're being tapped to do this. It's more of like, damn, oh, you're on iHeartRadio, like a well-produced podcast now. Like that gives them a little bit more polish, a little bit more of that. Like, they probably already have the lo-fi user-generated stuff that they do on their own, or maybe they have their own home studio. But it's just interesting seeing like the intersection of some of these legacy media. iHeartMedia is like legacy for all intents and purposes, but still on the newer end. It's like a radio platform that branched off and tried going more digital and more podcast focused. And so it seems like that's them trying to latch on to TikTok and, see how they can capitalize on it.
Yeah. I'm not going to dive too deep into this, because I don't know much anymore about iHeartMedia, iHeartRadio. For a while, I haven't used them, or really been into the business. But this just shows me again that as a creator, the D2C market, the direct to consumer market, your podcasting, your like, all of these things are just growing at a rapid pace on a day-to-day basis. And all of these legacy brands, if you will, are trying to get in any way, shape, or form that they can. So it just shows me that Netflix getting into podcasting now. Obviously YouTube is huge on that end, and all of these brands getting into this realm is a really big sign, and I'm glad that we're in the forefront of that as well. And we have our digital media side and we have our podcasts, but I think more brands need to look into this, because there's obviously a movement right now in the market. So
Sure.
So
Yeah, I think we'll wrap things up there. That does it for episode 6. We'll be back in 2 weeks for our next episode. I anticipate a lot of exciting stuff, like Black Friday is coming up. That'll be after Black Friday, we'll see some interesting campaigns and some data and insights that we learn from there, especially just more leaning into the holiday ads and that kind of stuff. I'm sure we're going to come across some cool things over the next couple of weeks. But with that said, hope you all have an amazing Thanksgiving. Thank you all for tuning in, and catch us next time. Appreciate you all. Peace.
appreciate it. Thank you.